Hi, I'm Pat Barnard, Group Managing Editor for TMCnet, coming to you live from IT Expo West in Los Angeles. And joining me is Tom Thomassen, Senior Development Manager for Symantec. How you doing today?
Great, thanks for welcome. Thanks for letting me join you today.
Yeah, welcome. So I understand you guys have a new initiative focused on smart grid networks. Is that correct?
We do. Yeah, we've just joined the Smart Energy Forum. We're really happy about that. We're going to be on the board and be active members for that.
Okay.
We believe that the smart grid is a huge opportunity and a big transformation, biggest in 50 years. So it's quite an opportunity.
Right.
There's the opportunity, I think, for people is really the chance to manage their energy demand, and on the utility and energy company side, it's a chance to manage their generation and provision of energy. So it's a pretty big deal.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Now, as you overlay these networks onto the grid, obviously security becomes an extreme importance, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, when you take these silos, right, that normally or previously were isolated, and you add TCP/IP networking, then the capabilities increase, obviously, but the attack surface unfortunately increases as well.
Right.
So some of the challenges we see with that is security is one of those, and the good news is that we and others have been working with TCP/IP based networks for a long time, so a lot of the security technology is known.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge right now is to deploy that to the operational and control parts of the grid.
Right.
Right. So that's where the interface is for the grid. There's actually two other challenges that are kind of interesting as well, and the second one is really the data explosion, and this is the part that actually gets a little less attention.
Right.
An example of that is one of the deployments that we're aware of is for 10 million meters, which is a pretty small percentage of the worldwide meter deployment. And since regulatory requirements mean that people have to preserve data for up to 7 years or even longer, we're talking about 28 petabytes of data that has to be managed. That's a huge number, as you can imagine, right?
Yeah, that is.
And so it's not just a matter of the data storage piece, but this has to demonstrate compliance to the regulatory agencies. There's customer information which needs to be kept private. The right people have to be allowed access so that unintentional or intentional bad things can't happen, right?
Right.
The data has to be backed up, but there's mission critical information which needs to have failover and disaster recovery. Legal discoveries, in case people have a legal action, just an enormous amount of stuff, and the scale of this is, as you can imagine, quite enormous.
Right.
And then the last area, the third area, is really around the field itself. The smart grid is kind of like in the field, the energy grid. It's kind of like the wild, wild west. I mean, you have deployments of technologies that from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, dial-up, modern communication systems side by side.
Right.
So that's a challenge for anyone. And utility and energy companies are very tech savvy.
Right.
And they're pretty knowledgeable, but this is a daunting challenge for anyone, right? So at Symantec, we talk about the opportunity to embed security and protection with the data itself. And this usually means things like encryption and certificate management and things like that, and managing and authentication, of course. And so managing certificates and keys at scale is really a challenge, and it's non-trivial. But
right.
We feel we can help with all those areas.
Right, right. Now, in terms of security, access is also like an important issue as well, right?
That's right.
So,
That's right.
And one of the challenges I think, and you pretty much just said it, is that there's a whole wide mix of different networking technologies that fall under the smart grid umbrella.
That's right.
You've got different wireless technologies, you've got different wireline technologies, and there's really no set standardization yet. I mean, different utilities will probably deploy different technologies. So with that mix, therein lies the big challenge, isn't that right?
It's a big challenge, yeah. And one of the good things is that there are standards bodies that are working to reconcile different standards, 61850 and DMP3 and these kinds of things. Right. And standards for the content of meters. So that convergence is really helping, but that takes some time. So, on the access you talked about, that's really the part I was mentioning about the right people having access to the information. And that means, you have to attach this access as well as the protection with that data. And so we feel that we can help with that. We recently have acquired VeriSign and PGP, and our DLP product actually can help with that. So a lot of different technologies in the mix here.
Right.
And we're joining everybody else in the herd converging on the Wild West and say, how can we help, right? So,
right, right.
So.
Speaking of the Wild West, one topic is IPv6 and how that sort of fits in with the whole smart grid initiative. Could you speak to that a little bit? I mean, obviously there's security concerns, serious ones, surrounding IPv6. But at the same time, it opens up a lot of opportunities for managing all these endpoints that are going to be on these networks. So, I mean, is that an issue at all right now? I mean, can we expect to see IPv6 riding on these networks? And is that a concern from Symantec's point of view?
Well, I think it's actually an opportunity, really, because it enables a lot of things. With IPv6, you have a wider ability to identify more devices. And everybody, from the economist to Cisco, talks about 1 trillion devices on the internet. So that's a lot of, you need to identify it. So each one has a unique number.
Right.
And so that's an interesting opportunity there. So to talk to the other part of your question, it looks like what's happening is that the middle part of the network, the IP layer, is going to be prevalent everywhere. And that's a really good thing, because it means people can talk back and forth. So, so we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, oh yeah, we have all these security concerns, let's not do anything, right? Because there's opportunities here.
Right, sure.
But if we do the right kinds of stuff, the traditional security technology that we have, existing security, will really be helpful in that, right?
Right.
So that'll help with the IPv6 issues as well.
Right,
so.
Great. Yeah, obviously it's going to take a while longer for it to all play out,
sort
itself out.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Okay, great. Well, thanks very much, Tom. We've been talking to Tom Thomassen, Senior Development Manager for Symantec, coming to you live from IT Expo West in Los Angeles.
Thank you very much.